What is going on, you freaking awesome people? Welcome back to Operation Self Reset. My name is Jake Naraki, coming to you live from a McDonald's parking lot here in Franklin, Wisconsin. As you know, podcasts become high quality. They come in all different shapes and sizes, but most importantly, sometimes you need a podcast that comes from the heart, and that is what I'm doing right here, right now with you guys. I am in my vehicle, the internet at my home for the second week in a row. Non-existent. I have no idea what's going on. Spectrum, my internet company at my home, we got a problem. We got to figure this out. I'm getting so frustrated. It is kind of interesting, though, as humans, how we get used to comfort kind of things in our lives. You know, I'm so frustrated with this internet thing because I'm looking at a bank and behind me is the McDonald's. And I got people doing like burnouts and stuff because car night is ending here. And I'm like, what the heck am I even doing? Why couldn't I find somewhere else to do this podcast? Well, I don't know. It's close to home. It's good internet. And in times like this, you just need good internet. And it's funny when you have a comfortable way of living. You're used to something. And that used to something, the definition of that can be as simple as having clear television. There's no static. Having internet, having a phone call, having fresh fruit or vegetables, or having a car, or maybe to people in the flying right now is just having a flight on time or picking up kids on time, whatever it is. We all have these comfort things that we kind of just assume are part of our daily routine. And when one of those things gets yanked out of the system, the systematical approach of our day, we get frustrated, we get irritable, we get PO'd, pissed off. But at the same time, it's a pretty much miracle that I am somehow, some way able to connect through a computer to the world and talk, Skype, have my voice transmitted into your vehicle through this device called the internet. Pretty wild in itself. So I don't want to get into a rambling kind of episode here. There is two real specific ideas that I want to share with you. Number one is being committed. Number two is figuring out the path. Now, number one, being committed, is something this is more of a wake-up call, a rally to myself. It is so easy to want to skip something. It's so easy to skip a dentist appointment. It's so easy to skip a workout, so easy to call in sick. It's so easy to say that you will do it until tomorrow. You and I have used that excuse one too many times. And as I sit here on Tuesday night, talking into this computer and uploading into the world, it is a reminder to myself that you need to be committed in what you set out into the world. Now, that commitment can be big, small. It really doesn't matter what it is, but all that really matters is the commitment you make to yourself. There's a quote that I've been obsessed with lately, and it goes like this. Who are you when no one is around? Who are you when no one is around? Commitments are usually made when nobody else is around. Sometimes they're made in front of other people, right? Okay, I'm committed to create this business project and to get it submitted by next week, Friday. Obviously, when it comes to work, we need to make a public commitment. But for the most part, a lot of micro commitments that impact our world on such a deep level doesn't come from a public announcement. It comes from an internal announcement. And those internal announcements, sometimes we know that we can do it. Like, all right, I'm going to stay true to this. I can do this. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to make that contact. I'm going to be joyful and loving. I'm going to have an open type of attitude. I'm going to be positive, even though I'm really negative right now. We all have these micro commitments. And unfortunately, when no one is around to listen to them, when nobody is around to hold us accountable, we lose that commitment to ourselves. And for every commitment that we fail to continue or to see through, it's as if an individual is chopping down a tree. And even though the tree is still living, as in you, even though the tree is still functioning like you, even though the tree still looks glorious in the canopy, just like you, the base of that tree is decaying. The base of that tree has open wounds. The base of that tree is just letting in that one termite, that one insect that's going to lead to another, to another, to another, until that tree rots, collapse, blows over because of the weak base. We all understand the logic behind a tree, right? A tree, has a trunk, has a canopy, but the most important part of a tree isn't so much of the things that we see; it's actually the root systems that are down low. And the reason why I say that a individual is chopping down that axe, and imagine the human body, the axe is almost piercing you in the side. The side is where your vital organs are housed. The side is where your liver and your kidneys and your pancreas and your stomach and your bladder. And if you take a shot in those vital areas, you're going to be depleted. And just like the tree, where the roots are deep, where they're deep in wholesome material that allows us to be fulfilled and where whatever destiny, whatever thing that we're striving for, if that axe comes in contact with our trunk and it gives us a little shot, it doesn't matter how deep our roots are, doesn't matter how broad it is or how strong we are in the ground. If that trunk, if the middle of our system, the middle of our body, the middle of our mental attitude is withered, we are going to fall apart. And getting back to that quote, who are you when no one is around, really goes into the conversation of where are your commitments? I'll raise my hand. I've bailed on my commitments, just like you. I am human. I'm not a robot. Things get in the way. Other ideas slip into the mind. We let other people dictate who we are, what we're about, what our ideas should or should not be. And we let all these other external things happen. And when we do not follow through on that commitment, we bail on it. We blame it. We lie about it. And if you say a lie or blame enough times, our human psyche starts to believe it, to the point of we believe it so truthfully, so correctly, that we forget that we even created the lie, which is in itself unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. And so if I could pull it back in here, which I'm trying to find the right wording, is this. The commitments you make are not going to bankrupt you. They're not going to take your health away in one breath of air. They're not going to, destroy everything that you have built up until this point. But for every commitment that you fail not to see through, it is truly a small little notch, a small little cut in your trunk. And when I was a little kid, we had this nice little birch tree in our backyard. And I found a knife in our garage, and I was kind of a putzer. My dad was busy doing multiple things. My mom, I was the third child. My mom really didn't care what I did. I created fires and, did some silly things around the house. But the one thing I remember is that I had this very dull knife, and I would always go to the backyard and I always kind of whip it, kind of in my hand, but kind of snap it into the tree just to get off, chunks of the bark from that birch tree to just mess with it, to burn it, to write on it, to do different stuff because, birch trees have that very white, nice bark that you can do different stuff with. And I'll never forget that my dad was very proud of that tree because he planted it. It was one of the first trees that he planted when they bought the house and so on and so forth. But yet I went out there on a regular basis and I made these little dashes into the trunk of the tree. Over time, what happened? It got disease-ridden. It started to decay. The canopy started not to bloom in the springtime, and we had to take it down. We had to lop it out and grind out the stump and everything like that. And obviously, my dad knew that I was messing with that tree, and he was kind of irritable and irritated at that situation right there. And so it's one of those things that it makes me realize that for every commitment that we choose not to follow through, it is truly just a small little whip from a very dull blade from a kid that has no idea what the heck is going on. And that little whip, that little etch into that trunk, into you, can absolutely devastate you. Not now, not today, not tomorrow, not in a couple weeks, or even in a couple years, but there will come a time when your confidence is low, when you're not feeling right, when you're looking for that extra pep in your step, when you're looking for that positive attitude, and for some odd reason you can't get it, is because of all the commitments you failed to follow through from years past that didn't give you the momentum to get where you want to go today or tomorrow. So that's step number one. Number two is this: figuring out the path, being committed, doing what you feel is right. I watched a documentary about Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld is the individual who was a very good comedian. A comedian that obviously became popular enough that he was able to be a part of a show, the Jerry Seinfeld, or the Seinfeld show. Seinfeld, it was just called, not Seinfeld show, it was just called Seinfeld. And it was a very, very, very interesting show. There was no real plot. It was just funny. It was just funny interaction with other people, and it was a very popular show. And watching the beginning of this of Jerry and understanding his path and where he wanted to go, he was in New York. He came from an average background, and he basically understood that he wanted to become a comedian. And he sat down on this one window ledge in New York City, right on the busy street, and he told himself right then and there that he was going to be committed to figuring out how to become the best comedian. At the time, he didn't know how to be a comedian. At the time, he wasn't funny. At the time, he didn't know how to make people laugh. At the time, he didn't know how to present a story in a way that could, lead to a funny ending or to make it entertaining enough that people would be engaged. He didn't know that. But what he did know, that he was very secure in the path that he wanted to take. Now, I think that all of us can agree there have been times in our lives that we've been committed on a path that we wanted to take. Whatever it may be, in a business venture, in a relationship, in a fitness goal, in a new brilliant way to how to represent yourself, whatever it is, we all have those kind of ahas, or I'm going to dig my heels in and go after it. But the weird part is, why is one person, as in Jerry Seinfeld, why is he able to make that commitment, to understand his path, and to follow it through? And to keep on going until he made it, as opposed to individuals who sit in the same spot, who say the same thing, who believe as much as Jerry did, but yet they didn't continue, but yet they didn't move forward, but yet they didn't see it out or figure it out or continue. What makes them different than Jerry? And that is the interesting part about human nature. Now, if you know anything about human nature, there's a lot that goes into it. There's universities that teach you about human nature. There's books and philosophies and neuroscience in the world of understanding how our body links to our representation of goals and attitudes and everything like that. But truly, at the essence, what it really boils down to, like, if you were to grind an apple and to heat it up and to get only the vitamins from that apple, you would get like nothing. Like, it would look like a couple sprinkles of powder of vitamin of C and vitamin A that are in apples. If you were to take that essence, what is it? And what it comes down to is just being committed to the path and understanding and being dedicated that this is what you want. And what you want is not something that you're going to gain in the short term. What you want is something that you're going to gain in the long term. And unfortunately, a lot of us think that within 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, we're going to get or be an expert or be the master of disaster or get that huge rage promotion, be the president of their company, whatever it is. But we only fail to find out that it's not working. It's slower than you thought. The progress isn't there. It's not as exciting as it once was. But for me, because this is a one-sided conversation, what I think it really boils down to is not letting other people get in the way of your commitments, of your path, of you figuring out where you want to go. Now, what does that mean, and how can we alter it? Well, first of all, what does that mean of not letting other people get in the way? Social media does a great job of allowing us to have a platform for us to praise to the heavens of what we're doing, what we're being, what we're becoming. But at the same time, by us standing on that platform, we're also allowing others to throw stones at us. We're allowing others to judge us. We're allowing others to critique us. We're allowing others to question us. And if we were in a new space, if we were in a new town, a new city, we would be able to make more of an impact in that new city than we are to be making an impact in the city that we're currently invested in. And it's weird to say that, but it's very true. I think all of us feel maybe more comfortable in a situation or a seminar that is out of the state, out of the country, than going to a seminar or event that is close by, or reaching out to somebody and trying to get to know them without being, ooh, maybe they know some of my friends, or maybe they know some of my coworkers, and those coworkers are going to tell this guy that I am doing X, Y, and Z, and they're not going to believe it, and everything like that. And I truly believe that if we had a clean slate, we could all impact the world greater than where we currently are, all because of what we believe other people think about us. And now, interesting, there was a study done not too long ago from Harvard where they wanted to see how many people really analyze us from afar. Now, the reason why I say this is because if you and I go into the world today with a yellow shirt into maybe a classroom, and this is kind of the Harvard example, or the Harvard case study, that they went into the world with, or they went to the normal classroom. They went to the class, for like 3 months in a row, and they always wore, normal colors. But then one day they wore a fluorescent yellow shirt. And they wanted to see if people noticed that this guy that has been coming to class in neutral colors for the last 3 months came into class with a fluorescent yellow shirt. Now, the person with the fluorescent yellow shirt believed that around 60% of the class noticed him, either for the first time or noticed that he was wearing a different shirt. But in actuality, after when they did or performed the Harvard case study, they realized that only about 10 people out of a class of 100, 10%, realized that kid was wearing a different shirt, wearing a bright shirt, whatever the case may be. And so we're wrapped up in our mind that we think that everybody's analyzing us. We think that everybody's looking at us. We think that everybody is critiquing us. But in actuality, a very small portion of what we believe is analyzing us is actually analyzing us. So what's the plus here? Well, the plus is, even though you think you're making you're shaking the cage of the world and you're making an impact and you feel like everybody's critiquing you, in actuality, a small potential or a small percentage is. But on the flip side, there still is people that are analyzing you. And even though some of you may be thinking, okay, well, now that I know that only a small group of people are critiquing me, I'm going to go out in the world and be my best. Cool. Kudos to you. But there are still people that go, well, there still are people critiquing me, and that's what's freezing me up. That's what's holding me back. And it's an interesting conversation because I know that a lot of us have all been in that situation at some point in our lives, that we either had to go left or right away from family, friends, to either move into a direction that we feel is valid for what we believe in personally. Unfortunately, we live in a world, we live in a society where we feel that we need to push everything in front of others. We need to throw it in their face of what you're doing, of what you're being, and what you're becoming. And so the question I have for you is, what is it that you're not willing to go out in the world and stand up for? And the second question to that is why? Why are you not doing it? Or why are you doing it currently right here, right now? A lot of you that listen to the show are looking for a little extra. You're looking for that extra thing, that little extra oomph for you to kind of manifest and become something better than what you are. Wherever you are, rock bottom or high in the sky, it doesn't really matter, because as humans go, we all want more, more. We all want more. More love, more friends, more attention, more things, more adventure, more joy, and of course, more happiness. And for us to seek that, we need to be committed on the journey and understand it's long term. And getting back to Jerry Seinfeld, he understood that it was a long-term commitment, that he understood that he had so much learning to do. And only until within the last 2 years did he feel comfortable going on stage. He still gets nervous. He still gets excited. He still gets kind of dizzy, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going in front of all these people. Even today, even though he's performed over 1,000 plus times, he still gets amped up and nervous and kind of silly and crazy going and doing stand-up comedy. And it was an interesting show to watch. And the reason why I watched it is because the people that make a commitment, the people that stand up or are committed in what the path that they choose to go for, and they actually succeed in doing it, we all sit there and we're in awe. We're going, wow, amazing, insightful, dedicated. And we're giving this person so much praise for their accomplishment, but yet you and I have the same exact opportunity to do the exact same thing in whatever facet we want in our lives today, tomorrow, next week, whenever. And so I highly suggest, if you're looking for that little extra thing, if you're looking to push through what other people think, if you're looking to figure out the path and to be determined, to be dedicated, start looking at the people who are doing it. Start looking at the people who did it. Start being and surrounding yourself like the people that are doing it today. The best mentor you can ever hire is not one that you actually pay. It's one that you watch from afar. It's one that has successfully lived their lives to the point of where you would like to go, and where you're able to open up that book, to open that Netflix documentary, turn on that Netflix documentary, or to watch it on some other means, and to view it, to identify it, and to relate it to yourself, and to use that as your own mentoring, your own private one-on-one coaching. Instead of going out there in the world and paying thousands of dollars to get a life coach and to figure out your path and all that stuff, to figure out personally, what do you want, who has done it, see how they did it, and to keep on watching and repeating and analyzing and copying how they got there, to enlighten yourself, to push through all the other junk to make sure you get where you want to go. I wish it was easier. But the quote from Jim Rome is this. I had a stall there. The quote from Jim Rome is this: don't wish it was easier, wish that you were better. Don't wish it was easier, become better. However one you want to use. But regardless, to say, the paths are all there for us. It's for the taking. You just got to be committed, be willing to understand it's going to take a long time, and to keep on going after it. There's a lot of people in this world that don't like to do the things that are needed to do, but they still do them. Be that type of person. End of story. Be that type of person. Don't get cuts in the side of your trunk. Don't give up on your personal commitments. And truly, who are you when no one else is around? Be the person that says and proclaims all these things, even when you're alone on a Saturday night by yourself, eating a bowl of ice cream, thinking, should I really be eating this ice cream? Is this the person that I want to show up as? That's all I got for you guys today. Who are you when no one is around? It's deep. Be committed on the path. Find people that did it. Watch them. Analyze it. Use it as your fuel. You can do it. It is possible. You will accomplish it. It's inedible, not inedible because then you would eat it. It's inevitable that you will accomplish it. You and I can be anything that we want, just as long as we have this big C, and that is committed. It's weird to grasp, but you can. I mean, it is truly, truly possible. 100% money back guarantee. You're committed. You can become anything that you want if you're committed enough. So go out there, be committed, and be a success story, either for your family or for somebody else. Go out there and get it done. Thanks for being a part of Operation Self Reset. Hopefully by next week, Wednesday, I'll have internet. And I'll be doing this from my office instead of a parking lot of McDonald's at now 10:45 at night. So we'll see you guys. I appreciate you full-heartedly. We'll catch you next week, Wednesday, for another great episode of Operation Self Reset. See ya.